Hey Anarchopac, I hope you're good. We've met a few times in real life and hope you're keeping well. I enjoy your videos on YouTube and thought I'd do a quick reply to your video which is called "Is a Contractual Revolution Possible?" You're right in saying that a contractual revolution is possible. Early on in your video you say about something you've taken from this philosopher G.A. Cohen, saying that two private citizens within our present society could agree to share a lot of things, and that could build up into a kind of socialist little enclave within our present society, and in theory that could kind of take off, and until in the end everybody's sort of involved with it. You say that you talk about how the problem with that from a practical point of view is that the kind of state is behind all the kind of the other companies or the rivals, and it would be very hard for such a kind of cooperative to compete. Now we do have cooperatives within our present society, and as far as I know, they're not losing out on subsidies or anything. So, and they are kind of thriving. So, I don't know quite what you're referring to in terms of these subsidies that they're up against. But anyway, I think you and I are both talking about a more radical cooperative than the cooperatives like the Cooperative Bank and so on that exist at the moment in the UK. We can imagine, I mean, those workplaces and also things like hospitals and so on might be collectively owned or owned by the state or whatever. But you still got managers getting paid a lot more than workers, ordinary workers, and you got managers getting better sort of treatment, better training, I guess, and so on. Now, I'm a radical egalitarian, and I got my system called preference equality, which I talked about a few videos back. You can check that out if you're interested. So I'm for really radical egalitarianism, where people get paid, basically everybody gets paid something similar, or paid the same for the same amount of effort, kind of thing. So if you're not into that sort of thing, then maybe what I'm going to say in the rest of this video isn't so relevant. But I think the fundamental problem with an egalitarian co-op being set up is that you'd have to pay the kind of really well, the highly skilled workers the same sort of amount, pay rates as the other workers, and people being selfish as they are, very few of the highly skilled workers are likely to stay with the co-op, because they're going to go off and like defect to the inegalitarian companies where they can be paid a whole lot more money. So such a co-op is possible, but effectively the highly skilled workers would be performing an act of charity work in there, really effectively giving a lot of money to their less skilled co-workers, and I think that's the reason why it's very hard to create an egalitarian enclave within an inegalitarian society. Rather than the other firms are being subsidized, I think if you did set up an egalitarian co-op, it would effectively be a company, but with more even sort of pay rates, and also you might have collective ownership of it. And I don't see any reason to believe the government wouldn't subsidize it any more than it subsidizes any other company. I suppose in terms of ethics generally, if it wants to be more ethical and not use tax havens, and it wants to use kind of, not use products tested on animals and other ethical considerations, then yes, that would be another disadvantage, which would apply. Okay, you then go on to talk about a kind of general strike kind of situation, and you're right to point out that an anarcho-capitalist, or a kind of propertarian, as I might call them, somebody whose ethics is based around property, can't really complain about a general strike, or the last thing you talked about. They can't really complain about a voluntary socialism, and so a lot of them, in fairness, might not think it was a bad thing either. You get these left libertarians and so on, who are okay with egalitarianism, as long as it is a kind of voluntary thing. But yeah, with the general strike, I mean, I suppose the propertarian might complain if these people were kind of breaking their contracts by going on strike, because contracts may sort of be part of property somehow. I can sort of see that. But if their contracts allow them to go on strike, then no fundamental reason from a propertarian point of view why the strike wouldn't be a bad thing. My issue with this kind of general strike as a tactic for changing the world is that you'd have to for a start, it's nowhere in sight at the moment, so we've got to change the culture hugely to get to the point where you get enough people in unions and so on. Then I just think it'd be hard to enforce a strike, because a lot of people would there'd be big incentives to go back to work on part of some people. If this really was a kind of revolutionary situation, the government would really be pissed off, and it'd be very hard for the strikers to keep on feeding themselves and so on, because the government wouldn't be very charitable with its benefits and stuff, perhaps, if it really came to that. My main reason why I'm not a big fan of the general strike kind of route to revolution, or to radical change, as I'd rather call it, is that if you're going to get that many people on board doing a strike, like staying on strike throughout the winter and all this, then it will be easier to get that same number of people to just vote for a party that is going to change the laws and make those laws more egalitarian. So also it would be a more pleasant way of bringing about the change. You simply have in the next election, the egalitarian party just gets into a load of votes. It's obviously possible. I've talked about this in another video called Anarchist Revolution, which you can check out. Yes, I won't go on about that too much. Okay, your last point, you were going on about a capitalist, or an inegalitarian, as I will call it, enclave within a socialist society, and you say that you care about freedom and you wouldn't actually want to prevent capitalists from starting or continuing a kind of inegalitarian enclave. Again, the problem I see with such an enclave, and why it might be very successful, is that it would be prepared to pay highly skilled people a lot more money for what they do. So if they need computer programming work or whatever, they will be able to attract these shit-hot computer programmers and create a better product, because humans, being selfish as they are, some computer programmer would probably rather get paid 10 times as much money as a pay rate than the kind of going workers rate, the kind of average rate. So that's why I think that an enclave like that might thrive. That's one of the reasons I'm a statist, not an anarchist, because I think taxes and things like that have to be enforced, because I think that egalitarianism has this natural advantage over egalitarianism. If you allow a free market to go on. I'd personally allow an inegalitarian enclave within my socialist society, but I'd tax the hell out of it so that it didn't ever get this kind of advantage over everyone else. Anyway, I hope you liked my response, and talk to you soon, Anarchopac. All the best.